Hey, Dave Duford here at the Ford Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell final expense Medicare and annuities. Make sure to check out davidduford.com/FAQ for more information on how to work with my agency. I'm with a dear old friend in the business, Bobby V of Bobby V Consulting. Say hello, Bobby.
Hey, what's going on, David? Hey,
Bobby.
thanks for having me on again, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the last interview we did was November of last year. So
You've
it's
been
been
you've been kind of busy since that video you did on $2.50 Facebook leads, if I recall.
right. So yeah, man. And if you remember the way we first did that interview, man, it was all kind of really just organic, right? So I was an agent, still an agent under you and Jason Final Expense, right? And I was doing all my own lead generation, right? So I'm gonna give you everybody a quick kind of background, like I said, a brief overview
Yeah,
before we
and,
get
and
into
one
this
one
whole thing.
second before we do, Bob, because I want to make sure that the people on this video kind of know what to expect. If you've read the title, we've made the bold claim of how you can create digital Facebook leads that are even better than direct mail leads. And Bobby is here to explain that process because it's kind of comes as counter to what I talk about, certainly, and what others do too. So if you're interested in how to make that process happen and how to completely upend the typical way that you're probably familiar with how you Facebook market, whether it's self-gen or whether it's buying Facebook leads, you're going to want to keep watching this because Bobby's going to go into some details about how to totally differentiate your strategy so that you can really get excellent quality leads and really just convert more of those leads to the business. So, Bobby, go ahead and pick up where you're at and take it away.
100%. So okay, so a quick background of me and how this all started and how we connected. So um, I was an agent under David and Jason Final Expense, right? And I was doing all of my own lead generation. And we're doing telesales and in David's chat and in the group chat, we post our business, what we run daily and things like that. And you know, I thought it was just kind of a normal thing just to do your own lead generation and have your own processes and things like that. Never really bought leads. I never did direct mail ever or anything like that. I just did my own lead generation. Well, agents, of course, naturally started reaching out to me saying, "Hey, man, where are you getting these leads? How are you writing so much business and telesales? What is this whole thing?" And they schedule their own appointment. They fill out health questionnaires. They're just ready to go on the phone. Like, how does this work exactly? So I started kind of doing one-on-ones with agents and helping them get set up. And I seen the agents were having tons of success. And one agent turned into three, and three turned into 10, and 10 turned into 20 agents. And at that point, I seen there was really kind of just a big problem with leads and kind of processes and stuff like that in the industry. And it wasn't the a Facebook lead. What Facebook lead wasn't the same as it was maybe in 2017 or 2018. When that kind of deal kind of just started rolling around in this industry. So um, what we started to do, or what I did, me and David got on a phone call and he said, "Hey, man, there's lots of agents reaching out about this whole lead generation thing. Let's do an interview and let's put this together." So I developed a program where I show agents how to do their own lead generation automations and go through these processes and really just do what I do. So that's what I started doing. November of last year, I put out the program for agents to learn how to do their own lead generation and really just do everything I showed them how to do. Right. So at that point, I started taking phone calls. And since November of 2020, we're December of 21 now. I've literally talked to over 1,000 agents, personal phone calls over the phone. Every agency, every IMO, everything you can really think of under the sun here in the States, right? And I, I see there's a huge problem with leads. It doesn't matter where you're at, right? And it doesn't matter even if you're buying direct mail nowadays. If you're not getting the return on direct mail that you're needing, maybe that's not even the highest quality lead as you thought it was 2 or 3 years ago. Facebook leads or agents buying leads from their IMO, from like a CRM or instance, or I don't know. There's so many different things where I wouldn't really even call those leads at this point. Like really. So I think it's a huge problem. I talk to brand new agents every day coming into the industry, and I already know kind of what the future's looking like if they join a certain IMO and they're told to buy 500 leads and stay on the phone today from 8 to 8, and you're gonna get 10 appointments, right? I'm like, man, how sustainable is that? Who wants to do that? And sometimes I guess you have to do what you have to do. If you come in with a certain budget, and you're new, but you still have to learn how to sell and set appointments and things like that anyway. And also nowadays agents, may be reluctant to go, to do face to face and want to try telesales. This whole new thing with telesales in the past year that's rolling out. Well, that I was a telesales agent, so I know I do that as well. I did that on a day-to-day basis, all with my own lead gen, right? So that's kind of a brief overview of what this is, and after listening to literally thousands of agents in the market, what they're looking for, what they want to learn, and this is just really constantly just growing and evolving. Here 12 months down the road.
So
So
before we get into how to make your digital leads, your Facebook leads better quality than direct mail, I think it's important to take some time expanding. You hinted at this momentarily, and kind of somewhat mentioned this through your intro there. The state of Facebook marketing has changed. And I'm sure there's people
yeah,
right now watching this nodding their heads saying, like, it sure as hell changed. It sucks. And so I think it's a good idea to kind of talk to the audience at large that maybe they're brand new, they're about to jump in. Maybe they see these leads that are in CRMs or these leads that are generated online that their IMOs are pushing. Kind of give us a 10,000-foot overview of what's happened to the Facebook, the digital lead market, and why in many cases purchasing leads from a vendor has become really difficult. It's possible to get the leads, but as far as the quality goes, why the quality has gone down. Can you speak to that?
well, I mean, I think just over time it's gone down. From 2017 to 18, 19, and 20. Um, so Facebook vendors, they're or digital and lead gen vendors. You got to understand that they don't just work with one agent and you know they customize everything to one agent, their location, their age range, demographic, maybe a subgroup of people that you're targeting, right? And really branding that agent to where it's this super high quality lead. You know, it, it's the lead generation business, and they not don't work with one agent, not 10, not 20, but 40, 50, 100 agents, right? Some in the same location and different things like that. So that's why it has to be cookie cutter. It really just has to be, right? So, but the thing is, the more agents that come in that are recruited and come in the industry and they're told, hey, go buy these leads from this vendor, either you're going to have the problem where they're not taking orders in that location anymore because they have so many, right? And or they're going to be sold a $25 to $30 lead that's 2 3 weeks old already, and it's just watered down. Everybody's seeing the same thing repetitively all day, every day. So if whether you're in, ages from 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, they're on their phone every day, right? They're seeing the same ad every single day in every location. They may have clicked on it once before, twice before, 3 times before, but they're not going to do it anymore, right? So that's why at, at the beginning of last year, vendors were selling leads for $18 to $21, right? And then it was 23 to 25, and now it's 28 to $32 a lead. And sometimes those are resold leads. That's a recycled lead. It's not a brand new lead, and you have to read through the fine print and things like that. It's not a fresh lead that came in instantly and went, into your hands.
So what you're kind of saying is because the nature, the culture, I don't know if culture is the right word here, but the nature of most agents in our market is they don't self-generate. They buy digital leads. And in order to satisfy the masses, you have to put together a cookie cutter program. You can't do custom
100.
tailoring for hundreds of agents, right? Because that would be so labor intensive and that would drive the cost up even more. But therein lies the problem, if I'm hearing this right, Bobby, is that since everybody's kind of doing the same thing for leads and the market is saturated with many markets with agents doing the same kind of digital marketing, The leads become less effective because people click on ads and then they stop clicking on them. And then they kind of see the same thing and thus driving up the average click cost. So it's kind of a race to the bottom. It's kind of what we've seen in so many words. Is that what you're saying over the past couple of years?
Yes, 100%. And I mean, if I've seen the change just in the past year, which everybody has in the industry, and I know because I talk to agents all day, every day over the phone, right? So uh, if if you're thinking buying leads is bad right now, just imagine 6 months from now and a year down the road. And on top of that, if you're being coached to go buy leads from Facebook vendors at that time, they're not going to be $28 to $30 anymore. They're going to be $35 to $40 for a Facebook lead. Okay, so and that's the business of vendors, digital marketing and things like that, and they have to stay in business, and it only makes sense on their end.
Right.
But from our perspective as agents, it kind of just doesn't make sense. So and the other thing is, when somebody gets signed, with an agency or IMO, it's just of course, if there's a couple things that's going to happen. Your upline or whoever it is going to say, hey, buy these 50-cent leads out of our CRM or something like that. Buy 500 of them today and just dial till you get what you get, right? And that's just horrible. But if you have to do it, I guess you have to do it. I would never attempt to do that ever. Or they're going to say, hey, get in contact with these vendors and go buy these $30 Facebook leads, right? Either way, it's kind of a recipe for failure or just racking up money on your credit card and falling out of the business. And the reason I'm saying that, I know that because I talk to agents every single day that tell me all these things, these all sorts of horror stories. Okay. And, from an upline's perspective, they really either they offer training or they offer, some kind of comp or they don't really offer leads, right? So they don't know any better. They don't know how to do their own lead generation. They don't know anything about digital marketing or automations and processes. So that's what kind of really, really makes this stand out is I've created kind of a hybrid system from myself being an agent, following these processes and organically creating what I've done, which is digital agent consulting, um, and I'm turning agents into hybrid agents as well. I think sales and marketing is one, right? I mean, I think you really,
Right.
really have to understand everything all together, not just say, hey, I'm gonna set appointments and sell. All my leads and everything come from somebody else. And that's okay if you want to buy some leads from somebody else, if that's part of your strategy. But I think that you have to start doing your own lead generation at some point in time, as soon as possible. And you need to become a hybrid agent to know how to do these things.
So,
And
real quick interruption. You said hybrid agent, first of all, just in case our audience is confused. What does hybrid agent mean to you?
what I mean is you have to understand sales. You have to be the salesperson. I mean, have to understand how to do your own marketing as
Okay.
well. We're agents, we're brokers, but we're business owners. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like
Right.
we should understand how to do both. And what comes along with that is branding yourself as being a specialist in a certain, okay, so man, we can go on for hours kind of about this. There's so much to kind of talk about. We'll fit it all. We'll
So
try to fit as much as we can.
So let me interrupt you again. I don't mean to, but the kind of we're at an interesting predicament here. We started the video off by saying how to turn your digital leads into something better than direct mail. We
All right.
spent the first 10, 15 minutes here telling you how bad digital leads are, right? So now,
What?
how do we make this better? Now you're suggesting some things like doing self-generation. Kind of take us from there. Like, well, what about self-generating allows you to improve your odds at getting sales versus what the other vendors do?
Right. So when you're doing your own lead generation, you're in control of the process. Okay. A lot of times it's not just this specific ad they see. They click, somebody clicks on your ad and you collect information, and the process just stops. When you're in control of your own marketing and your own lead generation processes, you can do really anything you can think of, everything under the sun. Right. So, all right. So what I show agents to to do. Okay, is not just take a cookie cutter approach and just submit some basic ad of an older couple sitting on a park bench and click my ad and buy final expense, and then or get your free trip to the Bahamas if you click this link or something, right? That's not what this is. Okay, I show you how to brand your business and brand yourself as a specialist in with a subgroup of people that you're knowledgeable about and that you're passionate about. And even if you aren't and you don't know how to pick your industry, your niche audience to target, I show you how to do that, and I break it down very easily and very thorough, right? So in the last interview we did, I talked about the riches are in the niches. Just in any business, you have to be a specialist in a certain industry. It doesn't matter if you're a health agent, final expense, you sell mortgage protection term or PNC or whatever, right? I show you how to be a specialist and not take a cookie cutter approach. And I show you how to brand your ads and your campaigns. So when they're shown and someone's scrolling through their phone and say, "Hey, that's me. I'm being spoken to right now," and I've never seen this ad before. What is, I'm reading it. They click on it and then they click on it, right? It's either on Facebook or goes to another landing page, which there's several ways we can do this, right? So, and I'm not going to get too in depth with this because I'm going to give a free training after this video when whoever's watching this clicks on the link. But there's several ways to do landing pages and surveys and different things like that. So they click on the link, they submit their ad, right? It doesn't stop right there. So depending on the agent that you are, someone sees your ad, they click on the link, submit their information. You get that information into your CRM, which all the automations are already set up. And if you're wondering about CRMs, don't worry about it. I have one already 100% put together for you. You don't even have to worry about building it. Okay. They go to the CRM, they click on, they go to a page and click on your calendar, right? They schedule an appointment with you, but it still doesn't stop right there. Now, after scheduling an appointment, they then land on a page to fill out a health questionnaire. Whether you just want knockout questions to be on there, or if you want a full health questionnaire, or depending on the insurance that you sell, if you want some type of survey, a qualifying survey, right? And after that, they go to a thank you page that says, and within, on your scheduled time, whatever, you're going to be followed up with either on Zoom or a telephone call, or, so you're really in control of this whole process. Okay. Whenever a lead comes in, they're going to go through this whole process and you're being branded the whole time, right? Because you're the specialist in that industry. You don't necessarily have to go house to house and driving around all day and have dial days and things like that anymore. You can take care of this all virtual through Zoom or some kind of conference call or all over the phone without ever seeing anybody or anything like that. Okay.
And you could still do this face to face. I mean, you were telling me about a guy
Yeah.
at another agency who wrote 50,000 in a month. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
He
it
wrote
works either
50.
way.
He hit senior sales manager, whatever that means with his IMO. I'm really not sure what that is, but whatever it is, it's good, I guess. He wrote over 50,000 in premium last month, face to face, and I had no clue he was writing business like that. So he started messaging me, and I started seeing him on all these posts, and I'm like, man, this is like a big deal in that agency or whatever it is. So yeah, definitely being done face to face by several agents.
So
And
let me jump in here. I want to dig into a little bit of some of the things you've talked about. You talked about niching down, scheduling an appointment, using a questionnaire, in a sense, pre-qualifying and doing some automation. I want to kind of talk on each of these back and forth a little bit. So, and I know your course will go into great detail about this, and I understand that if you guys are interested in the course, there's a lot more descriptions. But give me kind of a sample of, okay, I'm a final expense agent. I mean, I already am niching the older people. How can you give me a sample of how we could niche a level lower and better speak to a particular demographic or group of people?
well, there's several ways to do it, and it depends if it's final expense or if it's you're selling mortgage protection or PNC or health. It's all the same framework, right?
Okay.
Final expense in Medicare is kind of a world of its own, right? And you can only niche down so much. So you have to be very, there's certain ways to do it, right? So it's either going to be by health, it's going to be by certain organizations that they're a part of, or a certain group of people, and depending on the age range that you're targeting as well, because lots of agents come in and they advertise 40 plus or 45 plus, and not 60 plus, right? So if you can still buy final expense, under the age of 50, so you may be part of certain organizations or groups of people. I'm not going to give I would have to really just say exactly to really go in depth with it. I'm not going to do that because I go through all that there in the training. But you have to target a subgroup of people, certain age range, certain location, and to where they know you're the specialist in that industry and you know who they're talking to.
So there are. I mean, I'm the thing I could think of. I don't know if it would work or not, but for example, life insurance for dialysis patients, right? I mean, I guess that's a
100%.
possibility. It may not be a really big market, but imagine, audience, if you, instead of being another final expense dude that has the same ads as 20 other agents, you now are talking specifically, and you can target to this level dialysis patients. What about now they think, oh, you're unique, you got something different. I mean, like what Bobby's saying, it makes a lot of sense.
And you touched on something. You said it's not a very big market, but it does. And that's the thing.
Yeah,
Whenever
that's it.
when you're the specialist in the industry, it doesn't have to be a big market because you are the only one targeting them, right? And that's just one example. And there's lots of marketers that watch these videos and stuff that we do. And I know because they try to schedule phone calls with me and to pick my brain and stuff like that. So they're watching this saying, oh, writing things down. All right, and do this. There's a whole lot more that goes along with this than taking some notes and saying, all right, I'm going to follow this whole thing from this video. Like you really have to dive in and be shown exactly, how to
Yeah,
do
and this is what you do. But the
every
point
day.
is, I wanted to bring it up because it's I think it's the way that one of the biggest ways that you transition from a mainline saturated type of digital lead, and you level it up. The more that you can speak to a group of people, the better you're going to be. Scheduling an appointment. So let me tell you some things I've heard these days on appointments. I know the gentleman in my agency who is crushing it. You know who I'm talking about, Anthony. He has all
Him
of his
and
appointments. Yeah,
him and Matthew. Yeah.
Anthony and Matthew. They're crushing it. Both of
Yeah.
them set preset appointments, and the clients do it, and they just call them and close them over the phone, and they do wonderfully. But I've had some people kind of poo-poo at it. Like I've been reading some Facebook groups and some forums, and people say the preset stuff doesn't work. Can you kind of address how to make that, just in a general sense, get better follow through on people who preset appointments?
Right. So there's a couple of different things with that. First off, they're probably not doing it right. And second off, they probably don't have enough leads. And third off, they're probably not a specialist in that they're not being a specialist, they're being a generalist, right? And fourth off, there's certain ways that you can entice people after scheduling an appointment to actually show to that appointment.
Right.
Okay. Now I go over that in the training as well. So especially with final expense, just like they no show you in person, you will get no showed over the phone, right?
Right.
It just happens. But okay, so look, if you only get a certain amount of leads, and if it's not many, and you say, yeah, I got 3 pre-scheduled appointments within the next 2 days, right? It's like, yeah, that's great, but chances are either 75% of them or all of them are going to no show you. You only have 3 appointments. But if you had 15 to 18 appointments within the next 2 days, they're not all going to no show you. Okay. So, and this is if you're not using the enticer to actually show to the appointment. This is not even if you're not even using that. So you're going to get X amount that will show, like they will show, and you're going to close 85% of those policies because they filled out a health questionnaire or some type of survey, or another micro close, throughout that whole process. So the agents that are doing that, they're saying it doesn't work. They're just not doing it right. They watch the video of someone talking and say, "Hey, I'm going to do that too," but they didn't do it right. The
Yeah.
other thing is they didn't have enough leads, and they didn't have enough leads because they're not doing their lead generation right either. Okay, so if you have 2 or 3 appointments, you said, "Yes, I'm following this process," that's not going to work. You need a whole lot more appointments to make that work.
You bring up such an important point. I think this is a chronic, uh, endemic issue in any insurance line, and it's not doing enough appointments and not realizing that volume matters. The size of the leads that you get, the number of them,
Yeah.
quantity absolutely matters. And there are just certain metrics of show rates that are going to happen that are outside of your control, but you can overcome that with just sheer volume. I know Anthony, geez, he probably does 100 to 150 plus leads a week on Facebook just to fill his schedule with the volume of production that he needs to make it a lucrative enterprise. How many agents are actually doing that? As you know, it's hard to convince some people. Some people think, well, I bought 30 leads. I should sell
No,
5 of them.
yeah.
I'm like, well, hey, you're over the phone, number one. Number two, that's the type of leads, conversion rates that higher, hard on minimal quantity. So,
Can I touch on something with
yeah,
that?
please. Yes.
So you mentioned that, how many leads Anthony's getting, average, whatever, 120 leads a week, right? He probably doesn't even talk to uh, 40 to 50% of them, doesn't even attempt to call them. And the
Yeah.
funny thing about
Yeah.
that
It's true.
is whenever I set him up last year, right? First off, Anthony is the killer on the phone. He came up with all his own stuff, and he is, and so he's really good on the phone, really good sales guy. But when I set him up, him and Matthew, I set them up with all their lead generation and their automations and processes and calendars and all that stuff, everything we're doing, right? When I told him, hey man, you're gonna get all these leads, but you're probably not gonna even call, 30, 40% of them. And he was like, yeah, okay, I'll believe that
Yeah.
whenever I
Right.
get into it. Well, I remember talking to him a couple months after that, and he was like, "Man, you're right. I don't even call 40% of these people coming in." But it doesn't matter because when you're not buying leads for $30 to $40 and it's a fraction of that cost, it just becomes a part of the process and to make your life easier, right?
Right.
If you're getting more lead flow, you're getting more appointments scheduled, which then equals more questionnaires filled out. It's just the numbers work out in your favor, but it's definitely not going to work, with 20 or 30 leads a week and stuff like that. It's just, you need lead flow. It doesn't matter if it's direct mail or if you need lead flow.
You mentioned the questionnaire. So will people who have very little knowledge of who you are and what you do, will they sit there and fill out a full questionnaire about their health and what they want and how to accomplish what they
Well,
want out of a policy?
yeah, 100%. So there's a couple different approaches to that as well. So you can have a short questionnaire or a long questionnaire, and you can I have agents a lot of times start off with the short questionnaire, and the more they have these questionnaires filled out, then if they want to move on to the full questionnaire, and they can, so with, yeah, so people do fill out these questionnaires, man, and so you get a lead, you get all their basic information, right? You look at your paperwork, you say, okay, they have an appointment tomorrow at this time. You look at all their questionnaires, maybe how much coverage they want, what their health is, do they have coverage now, whatever, who their beneficiary is, all these different examples, medications that are being taken, if we're talking about final expense here, if this isn't health or PNC.
Sure.
So you look at that, you get on a phone call, it's pretty much just you kind of just verifying everything, introducing yourself, because they already seen a photo of you. They've seen maybe testimonials of you, lots of social proof and things like that. So they like you, they trust you. You're a specialist in that field. What they're looking for. All you do is go through that, and you might already have all the quotes pulled up already. And it's just an hour and a half phone call can turn into a 25-minute phone call. And whenever you're doing telesales, you can do that stuff. You can manipulate time because when you're a face-to-face agent, it doesn't matter if you're doing your own lead gen or if you're buying other leads or getting leads elsewhere. 70% of your time is spent driving around, and you can instead of spending that time doing that, you can be at home or in your office giving more presentations and closing more policies. Even you'll have to learn your closing ratios, but doing your own lead generation, going through all these automated processes and doing telesales, it's just, we have to start transitioning at some point. But it does work to face. If you just say, hey, I love going face to face and meeting people and shaking hands and
Yeah,
having
sure
coffee,
does.
that's great. But what I'm saying, talking about telesales so much, that I have so many agents that do not know how to do telesales or don't even know where to start, or their company just started doing this like a month ago and started preaching it, and they're these experts all of a sudden, and that's really not the case. They really need to learn from someone that's actually done it,
So
in the trenches every day.
I can validate the questionnaire thing. So I have a small call center, and we get quote requests and information requests on the site, and we'll get people who they just stumble across some information, just checking out things, and then they freaking fill the whole thing out, the apartment they live in, city, state, what they're looking for, the amount of coverage, and they'll leave a note, like please call me at this time. It's like, huh? It's crazy. I guess it still blows my mind because somebody that's willing to fill that out. But I think part of our culture anyway, the younger people who have been on the internet for years are now aging in the final expense, so they're okay with this process. And what's great about it, like you said, you've evolved as an agent. It's not about giving sales presentations and convincing the client. Your marketing has done a lot of that. And when you call and run the appointment, it's an enrollment appointment. I'm calling to
Yep.
finish your application for coverage. It's crazy, but it really works, and people are doing it.
Right. Yeah. Yes. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's exactly what this is. It's more of an enrollment, not a sales call anymore, where you're just hoping, man, I hope I get through these first 5 seconds of the call before getting hung up on. It's more of like, hey, yes, they've seen your social proof
Yeah.
and testimonials, and everyone loves you, and what, and you're the special. We got to remember, marketing 101 is you're the specialist that they're talking to. They're not talking to a generalist anymore. So that pain point they have, as you mentioned earlier, somebody, insurance for dialysis, someone that's on dialysis, right? They've been looking for somebody to cover them, for so long. They finally have someone that's a specialist in that
Yeah.
industry. They can't wait to talk to you. They're no longer going to dodge your phone calls, and that's why these phone calls and these enrollments, they're not really sales calls anymore. You
Uh,
just,
yeah. I want to throw this in here just as a side note, but I think, some of you may be thinking, well, insurance for dialysis, everybody can do that, right? If you're a final expense agent, that's like, well, all of our guaranteed issue carriers can cover that. What is really special about that? Well, case in point, I'll go back in time, a little marketing story. So there was a beer company called Stilts or something like that out of Michigan back in the 20s. And this is back when marketing was in its infancy, a lot of mail, not direct mail, but direct response type of marketing. And what was cool about their ad that they did differently from every other beer company is they went through the whole process of how they got their grain, how they created the product. It's triple ventilation process. I don't know what it is, but it was real cool. You read about the story about how special this process was of creating this type of beer they had. And so the consumer was reading it thinking, well, this is incredible. Look at how awesome and special and unique this is. The people inside the industry all looked at the ad, and what did they say? That's what everybody does. Like, they're not doing anything different than Joe Schmo's beer. But that's not the point. You think as yourself as a agent, and how am I different from the other thousands of agents? But your consumer, your prospect, doesn't think the same way you do. They don't have the same information. And it's all about perspective, right? Perspective is reality. And if you can create a perspective that is, you're a specialist and you are, and you market to that, whatever that might be, you're carving yourself out and saying, I'm unique and better if you're in this particular group of people. And people always want to deal with experts. They don't want to deal with generalists. So you're playing right to that. And that's why it works.
Right, right. Now, it doesn't matter what we do, whether we're going to the doctor, we need to see a specialist, or whatever it is. Nobody wants to speak with somebody that's not an expert in that field, and that's the way we're positioning ourselves as agents now. We have to make that shift and be a hybrid agent to where we know sales and marketing. We know in the field and over the phone, because if you're missing any of those pieces to the puzzle, I mean, you may become a part of the huge percentage of agents that fall out of the industry after 2 weeks, or whatever, or a
Yeah,
month.
sure.
And it's horrible. And the reason I say that and I'm passionate about it is because I've literally talked to over 1,000 agents in the past 12 months over the phone, and agents that are brand new, or agents that are looking to get out of, their job, and they're tired of doing this part-time. They want to make the shift, but they don't know. They're not, someone just wants to recruit them, but they don't teach them how to do lead generation or these processes, because simply whoever's recruiting you doesn't know how to do that anyway. Or they're being told buy 1,000 leads today and be on the phone for 10 hours, and agents say, well, dang, man, if I have to do this for the rest of my life, I'll just go back and work wherever I was.
Right.
We have to really start doing things the right way. And yeah, and it's definitely possible. So if you're watching this, I speak to a lot of agents that are still employed elsewhere and are looking to maybe start part-time. This process is the perfect process to get in as a part-time agent and slowly become a full-time agent. And that's a true story, because we talked about, let's say, Anthony and Matthew earlier. When I first met Anthony and Matthew, when we talked over the phone, Matthew had been working as a sales guy with another industry for several years, right? And he said, "Man, my main goal within the next 90 days is leaving that industry, even though I've been there for years, and coming and do this full time, right?" Well, guess what? With this process that I had set up for him and his skills over the phone, he was able. I talked to him, stayed in contact with him, and when I talked to him, he said, "Hey, guess what, man? I'm no longer doing this part time. I left that industry after 10, 12 years. I'm doing this full time. I do all my own lead generation, everything from my office or at home. People are scheduling their own appointments. They know who I am when I call. And it's just that is good to hear something like that from someone."
And it's what we all dream about as agents. I mean, let's
Right,
face it,
right.
you got to do it sometimes, but it sucks that you walk in and the person across the table from you doesn't know you from Adam, and you got to sell yourself from the bottom up. But there is another way, and I do it on YouTube. When in the certainly the recruiting business, the time I talk to agents, they already know and like and trust me. And there is a way to
Right,
duplicate that
right.
process, even with something as mundane as simple as an insurance product. So, Bobby, kind of wrap things up here. Again, the promise here today was to show you how to make your digital leads better than a direct mail lead. And I think that hopefully you'll agree with me. We did that, because digital leads in its current form, as you buy from a vendor, or if you just do the old hat way of just putting a generic ad out there, is not producing like it used to. I think that's like the biggest lesson here today. And if you want to level up your self generation of digital leads on Facebook, and really these are truisms no matter how you market, but certainly for Facebook, the way that you get better leads and get them up to the quality of direct mail is you take the steps to differentiate yourself from the standpoint of what niche you're involved in. You've got to do pre-sales work when it
Mm,
comes to educating the client on who you are, why you're different, selling them on booking the appointment, selling them on keeping the appointment. And what all of this translates into are people who you just simply pick up the phone or show up to their house and they're interested in buying. You don't have to do the song and dance and talk about the fish on the wall. They already know and like you. And that's a
100%. And
game changer. And it
it,
really, really is. And it's possible too to do that.
it, yeah, this is just all kind of just sales 101, and people do business with who they like and trust. And if they like and
Yeah.
trust you, they schedule appointments, they fill out qualifying surveys, they know who you are, they see everybody else that's having success. They're gonna work with you. Well, one more thing before we wrap things up,
Right.
and you
Go ahead.
mentioned direct mail again. So with direct mail, direct mail's okay, depending on where you're getting the mail from and how much you're getting back and how long it takes to come in and things like that. But we can't forget that just because somebody they're at home, and yes, I hear this all the time, they went and grabbed their pencil and they filled out this postcard, or they went and put it in their mailbox. And that's great, right? I think we've just been saying that for years just to justify how bad other leads are, but it's simply that other leads aren't being done the right way. But those same people that have pencils at home and they go check their mail and fill something out and put it in their mail, they're the same people that are on Facebook as well. They're on YouTube. They're on
Progressively
Google.
more and more every day. That's for sure.
Every day. So if you're doing lead generation digitally, and you get leads that come in, well, that's going to be the same person that filled one out through direct mail as well. Okay, so there's really not an argument. And when you're buying direct mail leads, so they're not filling out full health questionnaires or scheduling them those appointments or anything like that. They're not seeing social proof, and you're not a specialist, or anything like that, right? So that's why you can't do these processes with direct mail like as if you were in control of your own digital leads, right?
Right.
And um, something I left out, but yeah, I mean that's you can't do that stuff with direct mail. So that's why I feel really, if you do your own lead generation the correct way, it can be far more superior than paying $40 to $50 a lead for direct mail, especially since direct mail is going to take 3 to 5 weeks to come in. These these people are buying insurance before your mail piece comes back if somebody's doing their lead generation the right way, right? So they just want somebody to talk to. So we need to do this the right way and get in front of people and become a specialist and really brand yourself as an agent because you are a business. You're not a part of somebody else's business, and you are your own business, and we have to treat it that way.
Bobby, thanks for being here. Give us more information on what steps you want people to take who are watching this to find out more about what you do.
All right. So you can find me a little bit everywhere. So you can go to digitalagentconsulting.com, kind of just take a look at my website and, you can schedule a call with me there. You can get access to my private Facebook group, some other free trainings that I have. But the link in this description, click on it. You're going to have a few different options. You're going to be able to I'm going to have a calendar embedded in there. So where you can schedule a phone call with me. And then after you schedule a phone call, I'm going to send you access to some free training that I have, kind of how this whole process works, a breakdown, a mini course breakdown of how this all works. But what would really be good for you is to also click the link to join the private Facebook group community that I'm building. So this is all going to be revolved around digital sales or even face to face, but doing your own digital leads and automations and processes and websites and branding yourself and everything that we just spoke about. And we're going to talk about that in the private Facebook group community. Okay, so you're going to be able to either schedule a call with me, click the button to go to get access to the private Facebook group community. And yeah, there's just this quick link below and you'll be able to get a hold of me somehow. All
So
right,
yeah,
but
go ahead.
I really want you to go through the free mini course and training that I put together for you. So when you click the link, either schedule the phone call and get the training from there, or just click the link, go to the Facebook group, and the training will be inside of the Facebook group when you get there. And we'll be able to network inside. You'll be able to have access to me if you have questions and different things like that. That's what this for, just building a big community of agents to grow and evolve and become a hybrid agent.
So two things. Number one, I don't make a dime off of doing this as far as affiliate deals with Bobby. I don't do it. I don't have to. I don't need to. And I'd like to promote Bobby here because his program's really good. I think he charges too little for his course personally. That's what I think, Bobby. But it's because there are people out there who do courses that aren't nearly as in detail that are like, 10, 15 times as much. Probably people advertise on my channel. Bobby's got a great value and does a great job and a very fair price, number one. And number two, just to clarify, we talk a lot about final expense, Medicare, et cetera. This course is not just for that. This is for any kind of insurance. The principles stay the same, correct?
The framework and the principles all stay the same. So,
okay,
yeah, you can do this. It doesn't matter. PNC, health, final expense, whatever, right? And before we finish this up, I just want to touch on a couple more things as well, as you mentioned. So, there's courses and there's coaching programs, right? So there's coaching programs out there that are labeled coaching programs, but they're really just courses, right? And kind of show you similar stuff is what I'm talking about here, but those aren't agents like myself that actually do this and perfect this week by week and month by month and grow this over time, right? And there's five, seven, $10,000, right?
Yeah.
And for a course, not even setups or one-on-one every day, or you're just, you
Bunch of
know,
videos.
yeah, just a bunch of videos, and you're gonna scratch your head afterwards, like, man, where do I even start? And you just gave $7,000 or $3,500 a month for 3 months or something like that, right? And it's not even one-on-one coaching. Now, or there's courses out there that are, I don't know, 12, 1,500, $2,000, where it doesn't even come close to in depth of anything that I'm even showing you.
Yeah.
Yes, if you want to learn Facebook ads, you can go to YouTube, right? And just learn Facebook ads.
Yep.
But if you want to learn how to do everything that we just spoke about, you can't just take any Facebook ads course and say, yes, I'm just going to become the expert and the specialist and know all these processes and how to do them. It's just a Facebook ads course, right? That's upselling you into like another program or
Right.
CRMs or something like that, right? It really just depends. But when we're talking about CRMs, uh, I I partnered with an agent that was set up with this whole process that I do and that I set him up with, with telesales and automations and lead generation. And he's a successful agent, right? But he was using a CRM that was $200, $300 a month that promised all these autopiloted processes and different things like that, right? And Corey Bell, you can find him on Facebook, Corey Bell at lead2client.com. He created a CRM that is not $200 to $300. It's $29 a month. It's a no-brainer to join. It's a far more superior CRM than any other CRMs that are in the insurance market right now. Okay. Agents are coming in floods every single day to join this CRM, having tons of success with it. It has from the power dialers on it, three-way capabilities, all the automation set up from texts and emails. Plug in, either you do your own lead generation, they come in one at a time, they go through these processes, or you can upload old leads, they go through these processes. You have built-in calendars, websites, landing pages, everything is in there. So you don't need third-party CRMs, third-party calendars like Calendly anymore. There everything is combined in one, and it's $29 a month, the most superior, best insurance CRM right now. So check that out as well, lead2client.com. But yeah, so thanks for having me on, Dave.
Yeah, Bobby.
Remember to click the link in the description. I'll get you the free training. Join the Facebook group, set up a call with me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys. Thanks for being here. See you.
All right.